Help support AMTV by becoming a patron, an AMTV staff member, and following us over on Twitter. Hello, and welcome to the Ident Review, the show where we have a good look and chat about the various television idents that we've come to know and love over the years. And for this instalment, we continue our festive feeling as we look at the Christmas idents utilised on BBC Two. Grab yourself a warm brew and get comfy. In a similar vein to their older sibling BBC One, BBC Two has been displaying Christmas idents every year during December since the late 1960s. Each year showcases a unique and different take on the festive season, and like with any channel as old as this, some years are fantastic and some are less than stellar. Having adopted the curve idents in 2018, how have BBC Two been tackling Christmas over the last few years? Well, they've been using 4 key sequences, every year no less since that new look debuted back in 2018, so they must be pretty stunning to be brought out year after year. So let's see if that rings true as we jump into our first ident today, trees.
It's official, Christmas starts here. We're switching on the lights here on BBC Two and all set for music night. Thin Lizzy in concert at 11:30. But first, their legendary frontman, some strong language in the life and career of Phil Lynott.
Some of that BBC Two charm is already on display. For those unfamiliar, the main premise of the curve idents is to showcase the curve of the numeral 2 in the centre of the screen, in a variety of different scenarios. For Christmas, that idea continues here, with the setting this time now being a snow-laden area covered with tall Christmas trees. Feeling perhaps that too much snow has landed on its many branches, the main tree starts to shake it all off, similar to say how a dog would give a good shake after being in water. The notion of a sentient Christmas tree shaking off snow from the branches is a charming one, I have to admit, and even though visually it's very simplistic, the abundance of snow and trees here immediately communicate that Christmas time look. Granted though, this has now been seen on viewers' screens for the past few years, and whilst it is charming, I don't necessarily think that charm lasts year after year. Had each subsequent year seen perhaps a variation on this theme with the tree, or a different setting, then sustaining it wouldn't be an issue. Not a bad ident for Christmas, but I'm hoping what's coming offers a bit more rewatchability. Let's find out as we gaze up at Aurora.
Saturday night is music night on BBC Two. Some big names in the Irish rock story in 35 minutes. But first on BBC Two, a special piece of that story in action with his legendary band. This is Sight and Sound in concert with Thin Lizzy.
Now, this is pretty gorgeous. The concept here is a deliberate nod to the Aurora Borealis, more commonly known as the Northern Lights. Now, if you've had the joy of being able to see this natural phenomenon for yourself, then you'll know just how stunning and breathtaking it is. How BBC Two adapted it for an ident doesn't require much alteration. The display of the lights here remains similar to how you'd see them in real life, the main manipulation being the pattern of the curve forming in the centre of the screen. The effect is minimal, but still works really well if you ask me. Furthermore, the soundtrack to this one really just adds to the spectacle of the visuals, a stunning soundscape to go along with the equally stunning visual element. The music for all of these festive favourites follows the same sort of structure, with slight variations between each of them to best suit whichever ident it's alongside. And out of the two so far, this version feels like it gels the best. Even though like the trees it's a strikingly simple ident, this one I can understand a bit more in terms of them using it year after year. The Northern Lights are such an instantly recognisable feature to viewers that there's something strangely festive and Christmassy about them too. And if Christmas idents are all about using familiar festive iconography to get audiences in the mood, then I'd argue Aurora does a fine job of that for modern day BBC Two. Let's see if we can get another winner now, as we put up some tinsel.
A star-studded roll call and just a few names you might know now on BBC Two. Some strong language and discriminatory language as music night continues with the Irish rock story.
Such a Marmite thing, tinsel, isn't it? Whether you love hanging it everywhere or detest the hassle that can come with it, tinsel is an undoubtable must when it comes to Christmas time and decorating for the occasion. So using it as the basis for an ident seems like a no-brainer, and it has been used by several TV channels over the years. Visually, the colour tinsel chosen here is an absolute success, a lovely mixture of golds, reds and purples, and when they all weave and fly around the place, it looks spectacular. Definitely one to watch in HD if you can. The curve of the two is clearly seen and defined, although this may just be me, but there are times when it looks more like a nasty wound rather than an appealing tinsel. That's mainly due to the colour of the curve, and again, it's just my subjective opinion. On the whole though, there's something magical about watching tinsel dance around the screen. It helps create that warm, comforting feeling you'd want at Christmas time, and sparks the imagination too. I still think Aurora is my favourite of these so far, but for what it's worth, I'd happily take a bit of tinsel too. Like the others, it's been seen on BBC Two for the past few years during Christmas, and even if they changed the colours every year, I think that would have done wonders for the ident's longevity. Nevertheless, despite remaining the same, that fun quality does hold out for the most part. But now we'll move to the final festive sequence for BBC Two today, and for this one, let's all get a little cosy.
A chef who plays with all the senses now plays with time. BBC Two goes back to the noughties on an emotional journey for the Fat Duck family.
Again, more of that charm that BBC Two became known for. When I refer to said charm, this was arguably mainly cultivated during the 1990s and the early 2000s, when the Two's established ident dominance before the personality bunch expanded on what was built to give more sentience and a sense of fun to the channel's presentation. Whilst that has contracted somewhat in recent years, it hasn't been abandoned entirely. Here we see the tale of a cat from the curve of the Two being periodically disturbed by a bauble, which contains a bird image, but I'll admit at first I thought it could have been a fish. Unable to get truly comfortable, in frustration the cat bashes the bauble away, before settling back to the curve. It's sweet, charming, amusing, again all qualities that you'd hope to potentially see in a Christmas ident. Many of us enjoy spending our Christmas evenings feeling warm and cosy by a fire or some sort of heat, relaxing with those we love, mildly getting frustrated should anything dare disturb that comfort. I still think I prefer Aurora as my favourite, but for showcasing that BBC Two can still have a bit of light-hearted fun, particularly at Christmas, this one gets a pass from me. Again, since we're seeing it year after year, a variation could have been replacing the bauble with different Christmassy items for the cat to bash away, or even just a different image within the bauble itself. I believe even the tiniest variations such as these can go a long way in making familiar idents feel fresh and exciting should they be used and seen by viewers year after year. Ultimately, whilst there's a lot to like about BBC Two's festive idents, it does strike me as odd how the old tradition of a brand new sequence each year seems well and truly gone for the channel. Granted, the recycling of former Christmas idents has been done on BBC Two since the 2010s, so it's not exactly new, but even all the strengths and positives that these idents can bring can't replace that excitement and wonder of a new ident at Christmas. It's almost like all the budget was spent on BBC One instead, but regardless, there are positives about these repeated clips. Whether it's the use of Christmas iconography or some stunning visuals or music, all four of these undoubtedly communicate to the viewer that Christmas time has arrived, and it's time to celebrate, or time to reflect, or time to relax, all aspects of the holiday season that we come to look forward to. So whilst these may not be the best BBC Two Christmas idents ever, in my view at least, they continue a long-standing trend of getting audiences ready and in the mood for the big day itself, which is arguably the biggest task for any festive sequence. And so that brings us to the end of another episode of the Ident Review. If you enjoyed this look at BBC Two's recent Christmas sequences, then please leave a like, comment your thoughts below, and subscribe to the channel for lots more ident related content. I've been Adam Martyn from AMTV, thank you for joining me, and I'll see you next time. Thank you to our patrons for helping to support the show, and a special thank you to Macra, Hooks Media, Ben Freeman, Ethan Carberry-Holt, Bruce Danton, The Broken Kitsumanoid, Tobos Krotz, Globe of Reviews, Trev Hughes, and Kevin Aikman, our AMTV staff members.